What's up, y'all? And thank you for listening to another episode of the All Net Podcast. I'm your host, MIC LOGIC. I'm here with my man, my co-host, I.DEAL. I.DEAL, what's going on?
Oh, another episode, another chance to talk basketball with the basketball mind that is MIC LOGIC. I can't be more excited and more enthusiastic about it.
And we've made it to episode 7. Got a fantastic show lined up for you as always, but the All Net Podcast would not be possible without our partners who are Shy Native Entertainment,
Shy Native, baby,
and true Chicago sports fans. And we got another great producer in our producer spotlight. He is my man, Fifth Element. And let me tell you something, Fifth Element definitely has a sense of humor, because when I was asking for promo pictures, I'm like, hey, you got some pictures I could use to promo you? He's like, yeah, I'll send you a couple good ones. He sent me one that I really liked, but it had him in a big Green Bay Packers shirt. So I tried to send it to the editor to see what the editor would say. He said, nah, that's not gonna fly.
But hopefully his choice in production is better than his choice in football teams.
I wish his team nothing but the worst. But a little background on Fifth Element. He's a DJ producer that started with the group Frontline. If you remember Frontline, me and you recorded there. We recorded that song Royalty. Shout out to Lake. And he was the main DJ there for 2 years. He DJ'd for Nova King, Quasar, Jase, Fine Arts, just to name a few. And from there, he joined Daily Planet. And he would eventually start to work with all the artists there, I Almost Murad, Mr. Greenweeds, Rita J, and Cap D. And for those who don't know who Cap D is, he is David Kelly, the chief legal officer of the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, wasn't he in All Natural or something?
Yep, he was in All Natural. And he also worked with Raekwon, Capadonna, and the Gravediggers. His first release was 2006. It was called the So Wonderful Mixtape, which was crowned as the best mixtape of Chicago by Rolling Stones magazine. And that year, he had 3 instrumental albums. Then in 2014, Mission Statement, the 45s in 2017, the MPC Files, and 2018, Change is Necessary. All of these are available at wonderfulsoul.bandcamp.com. He's got upcoming albums that include The Common Denominator with D Jackson, Second Term with Press Art, The Legacy with I Almost Murad, Negro League compilation, and production on the upcoming albums for Fillmore Green, Rashid Hadi, Taiwan Davis, Dat Business, Rep Life, a joint project with Kenny Keys. Man, Fifth is doing a lot, so check him out on his Bandcamp. Follow him on IG at The Fifth Wonderful. So let's get right into the breaking news of the week, or I should say last week. The Brooklyn Nets finally hired their next head coach, and it's the Hall of Famer, 2-time MVP, 8-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA First Team, 5-time NBA assist leader, and a consultant, and a 2-time NBA champion for the Golden State Warriors. He is Steve Nash.
Steve Nash, man, the Canadian-born soccer player turned Hall of Famer. We'll see how it goes down, man.
You didn't see this one coming, did you?
No, not at all. I had woke up, I think it was on Thursday morning when it came through, and I saw the text from the fellas over at the True Chicago Sports Fans, and Eddie was saying that they hired Nash, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming either. And
that was not one of the names that was being pushed around and put out there as a potential coaching hire, but nonetheless, they went ahead and did that.
Yeah, and I thought, especially having KD and Kyrie, they were going to have to pick somebody who has had some coaching experience, can manage these big time egos and superstar players. But clearly Kyrie and KD signed off on Steve Nash. That's their guy.
Yes, and I know there was a lot of backlash from certain people saying that this was another example of white privilege.
Well, let's get right into it. Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN, his show First Take, he loves Nash. He thinks Nash will be a successful pick, but this is an example of white privilege.
And what was that based off solely? Just the simple fact that he's never had previous coaching experience?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
But there have been other individuals that have African-American descent that have had coaching jobs without any experience. And if it's any kind of privilege, then it might be player privilege, because how many times have we seen a player that has no broadcasting experience become a broadcaster? It's simply because you're around the right people. They know you, and you're a marketable name, and that's what it is. And I'm not saying that's what the case was with Nash, but it certainly doesn't hurt that he had a personal relationship with Kevin Durant going back a couple years, and obviously they're trying to cater to their superstar. and give him what he wants. And in this instance, I think him and Kyrie both wanted Steve Nash.
Yeah, and Steve Nash is highly decorated. So if we look back in history, Bill Russell, he was a player coach. No coaching experience. He got a head coaching job. Lenny Wilkins also was a player coach. Paul Silas became the Clippers head coach after retiring. Quinn Buckner, he left the broadcast booth and became the Mavs head coach. No experience. Doc Rivers, Derek Fisher, Zeke, Isaiah Thomas. Then we go Larry Bird, Vinny Del Negro, Jason Kidd, who funny enough got hired by the Nets, Kevin McHale, and even, yes, Steve Kerr. So definitely,
it's not like this hasn't happened before. And in the instances you've given us, it's examples from black guys and white guys that have had no previous coaching experience. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of get where Stephen A. Smith is trying to come from, but I think it's baseless when the simple fact that you could just rattle off a couple individuals off the top of your head.
It's not like they gave the job to Brian Scalabrine and you're like, here's the clipboard, you're the head coach. Steve Nash is one of the greatest point guards of his time. He's, like I was saying, he's highly decorated. I think a lot of it has to do with, well, if you were a great player, then that should translate to you understand how the game should be played, and you can transfer that knowledge to your team, and you can manage a team. That doesn't always work out.
No, I think there's a lot to be said that just because you were a great actual player doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach. There's a lot of coaching is managing egos and getting people to buy in to whatever it is you're trying to build as a coach. And you got to realize these are grown men. They all have their own agendas. They're all, not all, but most of them are out for, to take care of number one. And you have to fight through all that and bring these individuals from different walks of lives into one thought and being one unit and moving together. And that's, it's almost like you're a shrink. You have to be like a psychiatrist when you're a coach. You have so many different individuals with different personalities, and you have to, manage them, massage them, and get the best out of them.
And Steve Nash is someone who's very comfortable in his own skin. He's accomplished a lot in the NBA. He's someone that KD and Kyrie can look up to as, he did this. He understands how to play the game. He was very good at it. And even Mark Jackson, who a lot of people thought might get this job or should at least get an interview for it, he had no coaching experience when he coached for the Golden State Warriors. And to be honest, Mark Jackson has kind of, I'm not going to say dug his own grave, but he's made his own bed with things that he has said and his style of coaching.
I think a lot of it just has to do with his personal beliefs with regards to religion, and it might have come off too strong for certain organizations. And, once the league in itself gets wind of something, they can run with that narrative and just choose to blackball you. And I think that might be something that's happened with Mark Jackson as well.
Yeah, because we can't sit here and pretend like Mark Jackson was not a good coach. He had results.
Yeah, but then you can argue that Steve Kerr took that same team that he had that didn't win and took them to be arguably one of our last dynasties we've seen in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a different approach.
There was something missing.
Yes.
That he, all it took was another voice coming in to get that out of that group.
Absolutely. But here's another thing I want to address for you. There are only 5 black coaches in the NBA now. There used to be more. Do you see that as a problem in a league that is predominantly black?
I think that's a problem in any walk of life. There's certain individuals that keep getting jobs just based off of what they've done previously, and they failed numerous times. And I think it's not just sports, it's everywhere.
And another coach that Stephen A. was saying that he wished would have got the job was Tyronn Lue.
See, my thing with Tyronn Lue is I don't know how good of a coach he was. What's his saving grace that you throw out there?
He took over David Blatt's team,
and they won, right?
And they won.
But what was the narrative on that team? The joke was just LeBron was the coach, LeBron was the GM, LeBron was everything on that team. He was making all the decisions. So how much coaching did Tyronn Lue do? Weren't there instances where we were there in the playoffs and he literally pushed Tyrone out of the huddle and took the chalkboard and stuff and the clipboard and stuff like that? So I don't know how good of a coach Tyronn Lue is.
I'm not going to say he's not deserving, but he's not my first pick.
Well, he certainly fits the narrative. I've noticed most great coaches were not very good basketball players, and that's not saying Tyronn Lue wasn't a good basketball player. It's just he wasn't a great upper echelon player and middle of the road. So, usually that translates to being a great coach.
But while we're speaking about Lue, it's been said that the 76ers have extreme interest in bringing him in and being the next head coach of the 76ers.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know anything that the Philadelphia 76ers choose to do as an organization doesn't really surprise me. It's going to be a interesting offseason for them, just to say, like, with the trade, winds going around and saying they'd move Embiid or they'd move Simmons. So if you're a head coach and you're looking at taking over that position, you have to wonder what type of pieces are you going to be left with in order to work with.
And so if he gets the job for the 76ers, then I'm thinking Udoka definitely has a shot at becoming the head coach of the Bulls, if that's the man that they're most certainly interested in.
Well, I mean, it all remains to be seen. We have bigger fish to fry at the moment. There are certain teams that are not out of this, and they have aspirations of winning a championship. And once that the smoke clears and the dust settles, then, we'll go ahead and do that.
So we're going to take a quick break, then we'll be right back to talk about the NBA playoffs. Don't go anywhere. This is the All Net Podcast with MIC Logic and I.DEAL.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy I.DEAL, joined alongside with MIC Logic. This is episode 7. Yes, 7. You heard that correct, of the All Net Podcast.
Still here.
We are still here, and we're still kicking, and we hope you guys are enjoying the content we're providing you. But, Michael, why don't you go ahead and lead us into our next talking point?
Let's talk about the playoffs. We're going to go to the Boston Celtics Toronto Raptors series. So right now, the series is tied 2-2. They play later on today. It is Monday that we are recording this, so they'll be playing on in a couple hours. But the first game, the Celtics won 112-94. And Toronto had their chances to score and make this an interesting game. But when you shoot 25% and you go 10 for 40 from the three, that's going to be really tough for you, especially because Toronto is the 5th best shooting team from the three in the league. So they rely heavily on that three ball. Now, Pascal Siakam only had 13 points. That's another problem. He averages about 23, 24 in the regular season. They need him to step up his play. Kyle Lowry had 17 points, which is respectable, but Fred VanVleet, old 6-foot Fred VanVleet, only scored 11 points. And I really think it's Boston's size that's gonna give Fred VanVleet a problem.
Yeah, I think, it's just the longer defenders on you. They deter you from, looking at the actual passing lanes, and they just makes your life overall more difficult bringing the ball up and trying to pass it around. And
besides Kemba Walker, everybody on the Celtics starting 5 is lanky. They have length, and they're willing defenders too. So Fred VanVleet, man, that's tough to say. Fred VanVleet, he likes to do the pick and roll a lot, but he's got like a 6'8", 6'9" arm in his face when he's coming off that roll. He's not getting very good looks. So my X factor for the Toronto Raptors is Serge Ibaka. In that first game, he had 15 points to go along with 9 rebounds off the bench, and Serge looks good. So the Boston Celtics, they came out and they were on fire from deep. They shot 43%. And to give you guys context, the Utah Jazz were the #1 shooting three-point team for the season, and they shot around 38%. So 43% is really good. And it was the Marcus Smart show, I.DEAL. We didn't see this coming. He went 5 for 9 from the field. He finished with 21 points, and he had a plus-minus of 27. Marcus Smart. Jason Tatum had 21 points, 9 rebounds. Kemba Walker, 18 points, 10 assists. And even Daniel Tice had a very productive game, 13 points and 15 rebounds. You'll take that from him. Jaylen Brown had 17 points and 5 rebounds and 4 assists. So you can see that their starters just filled up the stat sheet in game 1, and it's not hard to tell why they took that first game. Now, game 2 was much more close and competitive. Toronto even had a chance to win this game at the end on a last-second heave from Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet. Vleet.
I know.
It's hard to say. Fred VanVleet. But he didn't make the shot, and the Celtics won 102-99. But look, Jason Tatum had an excellent all-around game. 34 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 8 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from the 3, and 14 for 14 from the free throw line. Doesn't get much more efficient than that, does it?
Nope. Not at all.
Marcus Smart once again brought that torch. He's really found his stroke, I.DEAL. He went 6 for 11 from the 3, adding 19 points. Kemba Walker once again had a great game, and it's nice to see Kemba Walker in meaningful playoff basketball. He didn't really get that during his time in Charlotte. And Jaylen Brown at 16 and 8, and their big man Robert Williams, who I like, he came off the bench and he added 11 points in 18 minutes of play. Now, Toronto saw an improvement in Pascal Siakam. He had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Not bad. OG Anunoby really played well. He finished with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and was 4 for 6 from the three-point line. And I was looking at OG's season three-point percentage because I didn't think of him to be a great three-point shooter. So I went to Basketball Reference, and they had him listed at 39% shooting from the three-point line. And that's impressive, right?
Yeah, but I think the caveat is he doesn't take many threes.
Only 3. And he makes averages 1 a game. So
yeah, those are
it's not a good stat.
No, that's a misleading stat. I think if he were to shoot it at a higher clip, you would see the percentage and efficiency go down.
Now, Lowry had 16, Van Fleet had 19, and Ibaka once again with great numbers, 17 and 9 off the bench. Game 3. Right now, the series so far is 2-0. Game 3, the tides start to turn, and here come the Raptors. They win 104-103 on a game-winning shot with 0.5 seconds left on the clock by OG Anunoby.
You could see the childlike smile on Lowry when he was tugging him. It was great.
So everything for this game as far as team stats was very similar, except for fast break points, which the Raptors had 14 to Boston's 2. Boston seems to be much more comfortable, I think, running a half-court set. Siakam scored 16 and 7, and I guess offensively, this is what we were to expect from him because he still has yet to give us over 20. Lowry had 31, Van Vliet 25, and it looks like they're going to have to carry the offensive load with Serge Ibaka, but he only had 2 points that game. So Serge took a big dip that game. So for the Celtics, Tatum only had 15 points. He did have 9 rebounds, but we know if Tatum has 15 points for the Boston Celtics, that's not going to equate to much success for them. Kemba Walker had a big game, 29 points. Brown had 19 points, and Smart added 11. So that's game 3. Game 4. We're 2-1 right now. Game 4. Toronto gets the win, 100-93. Series is all tied 2-2. Now it's anyone's series for the taking. Siakam had a much better game, 23 points, 11 rebounds. Those are the numbers that I would expect from Pascal.
On 10 of 23 shooting, and he was 8 for 10 with inside the three-point arc.
But he was 2 for 13 from the 3. So it's not from a lack of trying. He's not hitting that deep ball.
Yeah, his three-point woes single-handedly have dragged down the Raptors' shooting percentage.
And Van Fleet had 17, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. And a much better Serge Ibaka this game, giving him 18 points and 7 rebounds. For the Celtics, it was Tatum leading the way in scoring with 24 points, 10 rebounds. Walker chipped in 15 points and 8 assists. Brown had 14. And it looks like it's clear that the Raptors have turned up their defensive intensity a little bit. This is a very well-coached, defensive-minded team. So I know everybody was declaring that the Celtics were going to win the series after 2 games. I picked the Raptors to win in 7. I'm sticking with my pick.
Sticking with it still?
I'm sticking with my pick.
I just don't see how the Raptors are going to win they don't have a star.
Winning by committee. Your starters have to fill up that stat sheet.
But when it comes down to it, and it's the NBA playoffs especially, this is a star-driven league. And stars win games and they win series. And if you were to go off paper and accolades and look at the starting lineups, or not even the starting lineups, just the rosters from the Celtics versus the Raptors, who has more stars?
Oh, definitely the Celtics.
Then the Celtics are going to win this. I don't mind being right again. We'll see. We'll see.
You might not. You might be right. You might not be.
No. I'm pretty confident I'm going to be right because I'm always right. Because I think we got another series to talk about, don't we?
We do. We have.
Let's talk about the one I was definitely right about.
Miami versus Milwaukee.
I hate to say I told you so, but damn, I told you so, son.
All right, so the series is 3-1. 3-1.
And it should have been a sweep.
Yeah, Miami should have closed it out yesterday. That might come back to haunt them.
It ain't gonna come like nothing. We gonna be all right. I'm gonna go with my Shannon. I'm gonna put myself on the team. We gonna be all right. I was talking to the boys over there.
So game 1, the Heat win 115-104. Jimmy gets buckets. Butler went off for 40 points. The Bulls had it wrong, didn't they? When they traded away Jimmy.
Jimmy didn't want to be here.
I think Jimmy wanted just better, younger players around him. They got him Rondo and they got him Wade. They're like, here, go do what you can with these two old guys.
That was a terrible idea. You had a coach at the time, not to get off topic. Well, I'll just be real brief with this. You had Fred Hoiberg, whose whole thing was spacing. In order to space, you got to have shooters. So what did the Bulls do? They had Jimmy Butler, Rondo, and Wade. None of them are terrific shooters.
And none of them fit Fred Hoiberg's plan.
Anyways, moving along back to the series.
We always got to drop in little Bulls tidbits here and there. Goran Dragic had 27 points. So in these first 3 games, Goran Dragic's numbers: 23 points, he's averaging 5 rebounds on 49% from the field and 43% from the 3. Very, very efficient for Goran Dragic.
I told you, I don't know if it was on the podcast or in talking, just us briefly, because I'll be honest here, I spend most of my time watching the Cubs, but you know, I get the games.
I'll do the heavy lifting. It's all good.
Yeah, well, you're just super. I'm not gonna say. Yeah, this guy's got detailed notes for everything, and then he's come amazed when I come in here and just spew it off the top. You don't need to be that in depth, man. Either you got it or you got it.
You're a broadcasting unicorn.
Yeah. So, but man.
So for the Bucks, Giannis had a triple-double almost. He had 18 points.
No, I was saying Dragic was going to be the key factor in this. He was going to be the one that would set up. If Dragic goes off for over 22 a game,
he's getting that.
The Heat are going to win.
He's getting that. And like I said, Giannis almost had a triple-double. Middleton had 28 and Lopez had 24. Now, game 2, much tighter game. He came away again with the victory, 116-114. Bam Adebayo. I had no idea how good Bam Adebayo was until I really started watching him play closely. He had 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. He does a lot of little things really well. Jimmy Butler, his points dropped down to 13 from 40 to 13. But he says he doesn't care how many points he averages or how many points he scores. He wants Goran to have a big day, Duncan to have a big day. Your boy Tyler Herro, who we'll continually be talking about throughout this damn podcast. Kelly Olynyk had a nice game off the bench, 11. And Jay Crowder, I'm really impressed with Jay Crowder. That was an excellent pickup acquisition by Pat Riley. 16 points, 4 for 12 from the 3, 5 for 13 from the field, 6 rebounds. But he plays really tough defense, and that just adds to that culture, that identity. Miami plays extremely tough defense. I can't go on without talking about your boy Herro. He had 17 points in game 2. He went 3 for 8 from the 3, but he seems to have a knack for knocking down big shots.
Like I said, you either got it or you don't. You could do all the heavy lifting you want and be a gym rat and a broadcaster rat, and he stays in the podcast equipment and he's always around there and he's asking questions. But when his star is a star, they just show up and get it done, and that's what Herro is. I can be your hero, baby.
So Giannis had 29, 14, and 3. Middleton 23 and 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Milwaukee's putting up good numbers. They're just it's not enough to get past the Heat. The Heat are just doing a little bit more. So we'll go to game 3. Miami wins once again, 115-100. Giannis had 21, 9 assists, 16 rebounds. Incredible numbers. Middleton 18 points, Lopez 22 points. Let's see if any other numbers stick out here. I mean, George Hill had 13. Kyle Korver is giving them absolutely nothing. He gave him a donut. Your father, who we had on last week, who a lot of people actually liked his insight. Shout out to Pops. He's like, oh, that Korver, he ain't giving them shit. And he's right.
Don't you dare talk about Ashton Kutcher like that.
He's just old. He's 36. It's probably time to hang him up. So Bam Adebayo had 20 and 16 rebounds. Jimmy Butler, 30 points. Not bad for Jimmy. Jay Crowder, 17. Goran Dragic, 15. Man, their starters really, once again, filled up the stat sheet. See what your boy Herro did. He had 13 points, but on 5 for 6 from the field. I'll take it. Tyler Herro. He's going to be a star.
Is he? First time I've ever heard anyone say that other than myself.
He's going to be a star.
I know. I saw Eddie was talking about, I've never really watched a lot of games, but who's this Herro kid? And I was like, oh, that's my guy, man. We go back.
You seen him on draft day. The kid got dripped.
Man, I seen that kid back when he was in 8th grade playing AAU, man. I know who he is. It's my guy.
So it's 3-0. Let's move on to game 4. And this was the Chris Middleton show. The Bucks had their backs to the wall. It's win or go home. Giannis went down after he only played 11 minutes, but he still put up big numbers in those 11 minutes, 19 points. But it was Chris Middleton who showed why he's worth that $170 million max extension that he got. He really put this team on the shoulders. You're making a face.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Chris Middleton fan.
Hey, man, he balled out yesterday, and he put this team on his shoulders to get the win. Dante DiVincenzo had a chance to win the game for the Bucks in the fourth. With just a few seconds left in the game, he had a drive to the basket. He missed the layup, but he got fouled, and they were down 1 at this point. So he misses the first one. So the best he can do is tie it. He ends up making the second one. So he splits the free throws and they go into overtime. And let me say again, your boy Tyler Herro has some brass balls. He's got a set on him. He knocked down 3 go-ahead shots in the fourth to put the pressure on Milwaukee. But Middleton, I should say OT, not the fourth, in OT. But Middleton was not about to be denied. And he did just enough to leave the game with the victory. And he was knocking down big shots, and he was being that all-star that they need him to be. So we'll see what happens in Game 5.
It is going to strike midnight on Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, and they will turn into a pumpkin. And then they will go next season in their beautiful stadium and hold up their best record in the NBA banner.
Will this be Giannis's last game then as a Buck? There's a lot of talk.
It's coming to Chicago. You heard it here from the Schwami himself.
I think you're just pulling that out of your arse. So he's injured. Like we were talking about, his ankle's injured. I don't foresee him coming back in this series.
What's wrong with his ankle? He's got 2 of them.
His right ankle is really messed up.
Do you need both in order to play at a top level? Jeez, I swear these guys are so pampered.
So let's move on to the West now. We got the Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers.
And we are tied up, right?
Tied
1-1, yeah.
They're about to play in a couple hours as well. So
nice. That first game kind of went according to script, like you would think. The Denver Nuggets.
I didn't expect them to get blown out.
No, what are you talking about? Have you ever watched sports? If you come off of a hard-fought 7-game series like they did, what did you think was going to happen Game 1? It was going to get blown out. They were going to win.
And that's one of the notes.
And it went according to script.
That's one of the notes I had. They looked like they had just got off from a Game 7 win. So I agree with you on that.
A tough 7-game series where it's back and forth.
Back and forth. And
there were a couple OTs in that thing.
And it was an amazing finish to that series. Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray just went at it. And they were putting up extremely ridiculous numbers.
Mike Conley's shot was all halfway down, boy.
Man, that was a great series. So Game 1, the Clippers win 120-97. Now we got to say this: Jamal Murray, he might have been nursing that injured quad that he suffered in Game 7. He didn't look like himself. He only put up 12 points. He shot 5 for 15. He did not look like the Jamal Murray that was scoring 40 and 50 points in that Utah Jazz series.
You know, speaking from a man that averaged 30 plus himself back in a couple grade school leagues, it's tough to keep them numbers up, man. It is. And then once people start game planning for you, it gets a little dicey out there.
So Kawhi Leonard had his way with the Nuggets. When he was in the paint, that little 10 to 12 foot jump shot.
You mean where he backs you down and then he turns into the middle of the paint in about free throw range, even closer from the free throw line, and just that's easy money, man.
All day, his mid range game is bar none.
And I love when you see a guy. Some players are in too much of a hurry, and then you see the ones that are extremely patient.
He kills you with his patience.
Yeah, you don't gotta go nowhere fast. As long as I know where I'm going, I'm gonna get there. Don't worry about me.
So for the losing Nuggets, Joker was the high scorer of that game. He had 15 points.
That ain't gonna get it done.
That's not gonna get it. Now, Jeremy Grant's been a nice addition for this team. I really like the way he's playing. He's playing incredibly hard defense, and he's stroking that 3. He went 3 for 6, finished with 12 points. The elder statesman Paul Millsap had 13 and 9 rebounds. Any other numbers that stick out? Maybe Monte Morris had 12. But look, if Jamal Murray only has 12 points, if he has, like I said the last series, if he has less than 23 or 25 points in a game, chances are they're not winning.
Yeah, if he's under 20, he better had darn near 20 assists then.
Or Joker better have 30 and 35. So for the Clippers, it was Kawhi Leonard with 29 points. He shot 12 for 16 from the field. 1 for 2 from the 3, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Extremely efficient game. But we got to talk about Marcus Morris Sr. a little bit.
Are we talking about game 2?
We're talking about game 1 still.
Okay, because
Marcus Morris is shooting over 50% from the 3 in the playoffs. I was not a big fan when they got Marcus Morris Sr. He didn't seem like he was knocking down any shots when they acquired him. But in these playoffs, he's playing a big role for them. So he had 18. Paul George had 19. And look, I know we always get on Paul George, playoff P, pandemic P. Where you at, Paul? But he doesn't need to have 25, 30 points per game. He just needs to give him like 17, 20 points. Give Kawhi something to work with.
You gave him a max contract though, right? I mean, 17 and 18, is that a max contract kind of player?
I mean, if Kawhi is going to do most of the heavy lifting, then I can live with that.
Far better than me. I don't know. I like Paul George.
I do too.
But I don't think he is a reason you win a championship.
That's why he's the number 2.
That's an expensive number 2 that likes to disappear from time to time.
It is. So is Chris Middleton. So we'll move on to we'll move on to game 2. The Nuggets.
Hold on. I'd rather have Paul George than Chris Middleton.
All right. So we're in agreement there. So game 2, the Nuggets win.
Hey,
110 to 101. And it looked like the Nuggets found their defense again because they were really putting pressure on the Clippers. Paul Millsap had 13. Joker had 26, 18 rebounds. 27 points for Jamal Murray. He found his shooting stroke a little bit. He went 10 for 21 from the field. Gary Harris, glad they got him back for the playoffs. He had 13 points, 4 for 8 from the field. But more than his point production, his defense is warranted and welcomed on this team. Your boy Michael Porter Jr. only had 2 points. Excuse me, he had 11 points. Mason Plumlee had 2 points. And Monty Morris had 10 points. So for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard just was not into this game for whatever reason. I don't think it was anything special that the Nuggets did. He only had 13 points. Scored no points in the fourth quarter either. 4 for 17 from the field. He just had an off night. He's human, right? They're allowed to have off nights every now and then.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
That's a special player, and he only had 13 points, 0 points in the fourth.
Yeah, but if you're that special, how do you... See, my thing is, how many nights did Jordan have like that?
That's why he is the upper echelon. No one can touch that.
Oh, look at this guy.
No
Just
one can
put some
touch
damn
that.
respect on his name and call him the GOAT.
He is the GOAT.
Well, damn, you're over there kowtowing and try to talk about LeBron.
We'll talk about LeBron in a little bit. So Marcus Morris Sr. had 11 points. Zubac played good. He had 15 points. Playoff P, 22 points. Can you live with those numbers? 22 on 7 of 19 shooting? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are good numbers. I'll take them.
So now it's 1-1. We'll see what happens later on today. But how many games do you see this going?
If the Nuggets are going to win this, they're going to have to go 7, I think, again.
I got the Clippers in 6.
Clippers in 6, huh?
Add the Clippers in 6. I'm sticking with that pick.
I got the Nuggets in 7.
And now to finish off this playoff talk.
Hold on, you want to take a? Want me to talk a little bit? You want me to talk a little bit so you can catch your breath?
Let me get some water.
Yeah, hold on. Why don't you come up for a little bit of air?
I don't even know where the water is. Where's our assistant at when we need one? So Houston Rockets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Game 1, the Rockets took it 112 to 97. Ideal, what if I told you that the Rockets are playing the best defense in the league right now since the bubble started?
I would not be surprised because I am the co-host of the All Net podcast and I stay abreast of such information.
But you hate the way D'Antoni teams play defense.
Always. They've never played defense, but for some reason, somehow.
They bought in.
They bought in,
and it's awesome to watch a team who has championship aspirations realize that they just can't score an insane amount of points. They also have to hunker down and play a little bit of defense.
You got no better actual representation of that than the Game 7 with the Rockets had, where James Harden was not offensively there. But he made a couple key plays down the stretch, including the block.
Yeah.
That just shows you he would have never did that years before. And it's a shame because I've heard multiple people before that are, NBA around the NBA people and stuff, and they say James Harden could play defense if he wants. He just chooses not to. And whatever it is, if it's the bubble talk or the teammates that are around him have held him more accountable, but he's bought in, and it's something to see, and it's something to watch and bask in its greatness.
So PJ Tucker, he's the anchor of this defense, and he does all the dirty work. He guarded Anthony Davis 26 times in this game. Anthony Davis scored 0.
Flaky charlatan. For as great as Anthony Davis is off the peripherals of what you see he can do, and you just get mesmerized by the talent, it's like, damn, dude, you're 6'10", 6'11". Go punish this midget.
Yeah. PJ Tucker's like 6'7", 6'8". Anthony Davis is almost 7 feet tall.
I am going to go eat. I am going to come right down as soon as that ball goes through the hoop where they miss, I'm going to trot down the court, go right there, turn my ass into you, post up, catch it, 2 dribbles, and turn and shoot over your little ass. And then on the way back, I'm going to tell you that's your daddy's fault because you should have married a taller woman.
So let's get into some numbers. Russell Westbrook had 24 points. Eric Gordon, 23 points. James Harden, 36 points. Big numbers from their big three.
Hey.
And for the Lakers, it was who we were talking about, Anthony Davis. He did finish with 25 points. They just weren't on PJ Tucker. He went 10 for 16 from the field. He had 14 rebounds. Those aren't bad numbers. LeBron James, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Not bad either.
Those ain't GOAT numbers.
They're not GOAT numbers, but those are LeBron numbers. Danny Green had 10. And Alex Caruso had 14, but that's
Danny Green had 10 in that game or the whole playoffs?
that game he had 10.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Kyle Kuzma had 8. Rondo at 8. He's back. And Alex Caruso had 14. But it's not enough. And the Lakers shot 28% from the 3.
No, the Lakers can't shoot. I thought that would have changed with the series.
And they are one of the worst free throw shooting teams I've watched in recent years.
How fitting will it be if they go all the way
and lose on a
free throw?
I'll throw something at the television.
Better not. That's my damn TV. You better throw something at your house.
So let's move on to game 2. Lakers win 117-109. And it looks like the Lakers made some adjustments. They started blitzing James Harden once he got the basketball, sending 2 people at him, and then they would drop into a zone. So they go from man to zone.
Is it Markieff Morris?
Markieff, he's on the Lakers, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he was knocking some stuff down.
He went 4 for 4 in the first quarter.
He had 12 points in 3 minutes. Don't say, I'll be watching the games. I'll be watching here and there. I'll come in and I come out.
You see the highlights? I know.
No, I was actually watching that live.
No, I believe you.
Yeah, because it was the Cubbies were not keeping me entertained.
Not recently. And Rondo's taking the task of guarding James Harden. He's being a pest. He's being a nuisance as he used to be. So it's been fun watching Rondo back. And he's also pushing the tempo for the Lakers. They're finishing on fast break points a lot more. But I have to give the Rockets their due because they were down 21 points.
Yes, I saw that. I was like, in the first quarter, I was like, whoa, it's like 20-something right now. And then I came back and looked again, and it was 74-76. I'm like, yo, these dudes came back. It was like 7 minutes left in the third. I was like, what happened?
And they regained the lead, too. But the Lakers in the fourth, they really focused. They settled in on defense, played some great defense, had some awesome fast break points. AD did what he was supposed to do. He took over the fourth, and the Lakers came away with game 2. So now we're 1-1. I say that series goes 6. Los Angeles Lakers.
My heart wants to tell me to go with the Rockets, but my brain tells me don't trust the Rockets. But how often have I listened to my brain over my heart?
The Rockets have let you down before, though.
I'm going with the Rockets just because I want to see you cry.
I'm not going to cry.
You're going to cry.
I'm just going to throw something at the television.
You're going to cry. I've seen you cry before over Laker-related stuff.
All right, so that's going to do it. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day. This is episode 7 of the All Net Podcast. I got to thank our producer in the spotlight, Fifth Element, for providing the beautiful soundscapes that you have heard.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Fifth Element.
And as always, Shy Native Entertainment and true Chicago sports fans, a big thank you. And to everybody out there listening, thank you. Keep sharing it. We'll see you next time. This is the All Net Podcast with MIC LOGIK and I.DEAL. We are out. Swish.